Hey, Fall 2023 Tumblers coaches here for the video for the remaining 2 weeks of class. This week I only created 2 areas because there's only 2 weeks left. And each of these areas has some modifications or choices you should make based on knowing your class over the last session. So I'll highlight in this video kind of the 2 to 3 different options in order so you could see how they could lead up, and hopefully the lesson plan, the way I type it, will clarify a little bit what may fit for each class, but really it depends on you knowing what would be best, most fun, or safest for your kids. So over here I added a second big panel mat with the run to the springboard, and then added 16 inches of matting afterwards. So first step would be run and do that tuck jump up to the mats instead of off of the springboard. Since we're adding some more steps, that could get a little bit dangerous without some matting, and gives them something to aim high for instead of to maybe start rotating or land unsafe. So that's really what they did last time with the different setup. You could also switch that to a straddle jump if that's the way you want to challenge your class, or really you could turn this into run, jump on the springboard, forward roll, or run, jump on the springboard, handstand, flat back, if you feel like you have a class or kids that's a fit for. Also different is this is going to be kind of separate from that one, so you'll have to find the best place to stand and the best place to help. Down the cheese mat, I would say the 3 suggestions I would have would be connecting 2 forward rolls, doing a backward roll, or doing a bridge and trying a kickover. Now the kickovers would need a lot of spots, so you just have to decide, is my class going to be able to handle me staying at this one and still safely functioning on the other 3? Because if not, maybe bridge kickover isn't the choice for your class and you should stick with connecting 2 forward rolls or doing a backward roll. Then on the laser beam, I put 2 dots so that they could take their turns next to the dot, and there they should try a teeter-totter or a kick to handstand. And there's a separate video about the variations of those, and we practiced it once already earlier in class, so you can show them those 2 things and let them choose on their own. And then if you notice, I've been leaving the beam high for the last week because we got our other resis back, and I think a lot of kids, when I've been there, have asked about going on the bigger one. So I think this is a good chance to let them try that. If kids are nervous up there, you can always let them just crawl across if that makes them feel better. But the station that I think they should try this week is passe walk, or we call it to the preschool classes flamingo stand. So each step they take, they stand on one foot and lift their knee in front and try to hold it for 2 or 3 seconds and then step to the next one. We also begin that in preschool as marching. So sometimes kids are too nervous or developmentally aren't so great at balancing on one foot yet. So you could also show it like a high knee march, and that might help some of the kids that are a little more nervous who don't feel comfortable keeping their foot up in the air for that time. But either way, mission accomplished. They're working towards that balancing on one foot on the beam up in the air. Over in this area, I moved the purple bar away from the wall. Of course, the panel mat underneath it can come in or out, and you could adjust the bar up or down. But they were going to do a spider hang, so that's where they hang with their hands close in the middle and their legs out like a straddle. The biggest mistakes are bent legs and tipping their head back and looking kind of upside down like an arch. They should be looking straight forwards at that blue wall while they're doing it. Over here, we have set up toe-ups. So they lay on their back on the blue cheese mat and hang on to the bar, and then lift their feet up to touch the bar anywhere from 3 to 5 times. I also put those foamies there so that they can work on holding that in between their feet while they're doing it. Some kids are physically going to be unable to do this, and you can show them what a tuck up looks like and have them practice tucking their knees up because they can't quite do it with their legs straight. And then here is for a tuck support. So they should go in between the P-bars and put one hand on each side, and then use their feet to pick up each beanbag and set it into the bucket. So of course we would love if kids could just sit there and hold a tuck support or an L support for a designated number of seconds. And if that's a better fit for your group, you can definitely ask them to do that. But we all know kids tend to rush and not actually count to whatever number we give them. So that's why I like to use the beanbags, because they see that as the game, that they're trying to use their feet to pick up the beanbags and put them into the bucket. And then they tend to hold them their body weight up longer. It can also be distracting and hard depending upon the age. Some of the kids don't quite have the coordination to grab the beanbags with their feet. You may need to remove, so they're only doing 2 beanbags at a time if it's taking them too long. Or if it's a better fit for you, you can remove the bucket and the beanbags all together and just say hold it for 5 or hold it for 10 or whatever number you give them. And in that case, you should show them what a tuck support looks like, where they bend their knees, and an L support where their legs are straight, so they could use that to challenge themselves. And then over here, I have the low bar set up for monkey walk. And that's where they walk sideways across the bar by kind of scooching their hands over. So they start up on this block and then let their feet hang down low and then kind of shimmy or scooch their hands sideways till they get to the hula hoop and then drop into the hula hoop. If that hula hoop gets distracting, you can also just put a dot there or an X on the floor with chalk if that's a better fit. Some of the kids like to pick that up and it does kind of rattle and etc. So pull it as needed. The challenges would be that if they're able to, if their body fits, that they should be hanging with their legs straight and their feet glued together. Then they could also try it with their knees held up in a tuck or up in an L, which is obviously a lot more core muscles using to hold their legs up. And another great challenge would be to tell them to face the other direction. So a lot of them will have a dominant way where they like to scooch that hand first, and switching back and forth the directions they're facing can also help them with the challenge there. I also have this air barrel set up back here for the high school class actually, but if your 9-10 class feels like, if you feel like they're needing a challenge, they would sit in front support on the bar and then they bounce back onto their butt onto the air barrel and then go back to front support. I've never done this with community ed class, and it would really take some strong coordinated kids, but I am going to leave it set up here for the high schoolers. So the 9-11 coach, if you're feeling really brave and want to give that a go, feel free. And there is a video that I have on YouTube of one of the gymnasts doing it, so you can see what that looks like if you're not sure. Thanks guys, bye.